Hello, boys and girls. I wanted to start a series on dating in the modern world because more and more guys around me, I hear they're having trouble with it. Now, this might sound like I see myself as some kind of a spokesperson or someone with some right of authority in this matter. Um, I wouldn't quite see it that way. I think that I am pretty good in general in distinguishing bad and good dating advice. That's not to say that I am perfect in any way whatsoever, but I think that I have personally grown a lot in my dating life, um, and I can really notice a difference if I'm looking back at when I was, 16, 17 years old, getting into the dating scene. I really had no clue what the hell I was getting myself into, and the strange thing is, as men, okay, not to generalize, but as a man, what I noticed that is that my natural tendencies, or like my intuitive response to certain things, would end up backfiring a lot. And basically, I had to kind of rewire myself and find um, a common ground with women. Because if I was just purely acting out of intuition, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was, getting rejected on a constant basis, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But the interesting thing is that really shifted for me over the years, and nowadays I noticed that a lot of the things I was doing wrong are no longer really a problem, and I do see those things a lot in other men and women. I don't want to generalize this as a series that is targeted towards men. In fact, maybe I might even have a lot of, an interesting perspective to share towards female viewers. But that being said, I just want to kind of share my thoughts out there. I see this as a collaborative effort. So if I say things that you believe are wildly wrong or inappropriate, or if you see things differently, I'm really interested to see how many people would agree with me. I do think that I generally tend to back up what I'm saying pretty solidly with, whether that be science or psychology or basically mostly those two things, and personal experience, of course, but that should be always taken with a grain of salt. But let's just get into it. Let's just start off episode 1, and the first thing I want to talk about is the infiltration of pickup artist culture in the modern dating scene. I would say that unlike a lot of people, I might not have a pure hatred towards the pickup artistry. Let's put it that way. But it has a lot of obvious shortcomings. However, if you try to take the perspective of young men, it makes sense why this genre exists. Because if I take a step back and I look back at where I was when I was 16, 17, 18, whatever, I was really lost is the best way to describe it. Lost, and looking for answers. And even though there are so many books out there and there's so much material on YouTube there's so much, and yet it's difficult to find answers to these really hard-hitting questions, like what makes a man attractive? That is a very difficult question to answer, reading books or going on the internet, and with good reason, because there may not be, one way which makes men attractive. However, as a young man, that is a very unsatisfying answer to get. As a young man, what you want to hear is, I'm giving you, 3 rules to follow, and then if you follow those rules, you're gonna get, you're gonna be attractive. That is way more appealing to a lost young man, because he's gonna think, okay, now I have something to hold on to, and that's, a little bit of a danger within being afraid to take up a strong position, which I notice a lot of people in the dating world do, is they would give people these answers, which are a lot like, it's like, be yourself, be yourself. Everything's gonna be all right if you're just yourself, or something like, everyone's different. There's no such thing as, objectively being beautiful or being attractive. Everyone's different. Everyone's thinking differently about these things, and that's great. It's great to be nuanced. It's great to not see the world in this black and white way, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so everyone's different and I should just be myself. Now what? Because you're sitting there, you're not getting any dates, you're not really finding any success, and then here comes someone who gives you this advice, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Nothing. That's basically the answer you get from that. Do nothing. Don't change anything. Great. But obviously, if you're not finding any success in the dating market, some change might be warranted. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't be yourself? No, of course not. You should be yourself. However, there is a very big difference between being yourself authentically and changing nothing about yourself. Those things are very different. You can still be your authentic self while growing into a new person, and that's what I feel like I've definitely done in my life, is I've grown into a new person. But basically, getting back to the point, I noticed that in this series I'm gonna rant a lot. I just hope that there are some nuggets of information in there that might be useful to someone. But basically what the pickup artist does is he takes these young feeble minds, and he or she, there might be a few female pickup artists out there. I haven't really come across any, but maybe. He takes those people, young people mostly, who are very lost, and he gives them very strict advice, like, okay, you need to be dominant. Bam, that's clear. That's as clear as you can be. You need to be dominant. Although the term dominant is also, it's not quite clear, but let's say take the lead, pay for dinner. That's a very clear rule. Pay for stuff, and then she's gonna like you, or he. But yeah, that's obviously, as you get older, you realize this is not really great advice. So it makes sense that it is appealing, and it was for me as well. At some point when I was younger, it was very appealing to me. But I think that we should, rather than tearing down these pickup artists who are clearly hitting a great niche market, good for them, we should just strive to put out better content out there. Better content from people who can show some sign of emotional intelligence. Because that is what the pickup artist lacks. He lacks the emotional intelligence to think about, okay, here I have this woman who is this mystical creature. How the pickup artist would approach it in a way as, what does the female brain respond to? That is a question that the pickup artist aims to answer. What is the female brain respond to. And that could be a number of things. I bet everyone has their own answers to that, but they kind of arrive to a somewhat similar ground in the end, and that is that the female brain responds to dominance. It responds to status. Like if you are a high value man, as they might say, I think that's the term, high value man, then you're gonna get women. If you have, and that also envelops further into different categories. So what is a high value man? Well, excuse me. That could mean you have a lot of money, or you have a strong physique. You have confidence, which are all great things to strive for. But at the end of the day, the problem that people have with pickup artists, it's not that they are trying to build up men, because they are. Let's be honest, they are trying to build up lost men, and you should be lenient enough that you will grant them that. They are aiming to improve someone's life. Let's put it that way. Whether they are succeeding in that aim or not is a different story, but they are definitely aiming to do that. Where they are failing is in the thought process that I just described. The fallacy, if you will, is in the part where they think in terms of the female brain, which really the aim of that thought process, or the consequence of it, is that you view women as in a group entity. Women in general do not respond to things. You might say a lot of women respond to something. That's more accurate. But even saying something as most women respond to it is tricky, because how are you going to prove that, right? And there are countless examples, too many to count, of people's differences and what attracts someone to someone else. And you don't even need to look at the female perspective, because if you look at men, as a man, I'm sure you're aware that there are certain things that are attractive to most men. However, I'm sure that each and every one of you has at least one friend who is just into the most wild, off the charts, things that would not be interesting to you at all. I shouldn't name examples because I don't want to out people, but I've heard, okay, one example I think is fine is that I have a friend who is exclusively into Asian women, which is strange, to be exclusively interested in one race. I'm not going to judge, but I just want to show with that everyone's taste is different, and women's taste is also not all the same. Women have different tastes. Some women, are really, 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 insanely into this kind of standard image of a high value man, of this dominant guy who has, who drives a supercar, lives in a mansion, has a six pack, has a big dick, all these things, which is, great, because if you have those things, then you're gonna attract those women. But you cannot assume that if you have those things, you're gonna attract every woman. You're just not. And furthermore, than that, there is nothing you could ever do in your life that would reach so far that you would be able to attract every woman in the world. There is literally, it's impossible. You cannot be a way, you cannot change yourself into a person that every woman is attracted to. It's never gonna happen. Um, and that's where this idea comes from of be yourself, because if you're, person A is gonna attract X amount of women, and then person B is gonna attract X amount of women, and they're gonna be different women that are attracted to this person and that person, and the most important thing in between all of that is that you become a person that you love yourself, because but that's beside the dating point. It's more like if you're gonna become a person that you don't like, you're not gonna attract women you like, because their personalities are not really gonna match up as well as you would hope. And on top of that, you're just not gonna be happy with yourself, and that is the most important thing. Is being happy with yourself. So I'm trying, in case you haven't noticed, I'm trying to reach some kind of common ground between the two. You have the pickup artists on this side, and then you have the what should we call them? The dating relativists, who might say, "Oh, just be yourself. Just don't, just everyone's different. There's not really any way to improve, because there's no such thing as better or worse." Both of them are on opposite sides of the spectrum. Both of them have something going for them, which I hopefully explained somewhat. And yet both of them are missing key parts. And I think I harped a bit on what the pickup artist is missing. Let me also finish it off with what the other side is missing a little bit, in my opinion. And that is that even though there isn't one ideal of man that every woman is attracted to, which I have admitted, even though that's not true, there are definitely preferences that can be very, easily measured. Certain attributes that men have that tend to increase their potential in the dating market, if I may put it that way. So let me think of a few examples. On the whole, a intelligent man is more likely to attract potential female partners than an unintelligent man. That is not to say that you cannot find someone if you're not intelligent. And I know that intelligent is also a vague term, so maybe I shouldn't use that. Let me pick a better example. Someone who has now I'm going to get into something physical, which is a little bit more superficial, but bear with me. If you have a six-pack, a visible six-pack, versus not having it. On the whole, on average, women are if you take the same guy and you give one a six-pack, one you don't, the exact same guy, on the whole, women would probably find the one with a six-pack slightly more attractive. That is not to say that every woman does. Not every woman. Just, on average, the average woman, if you take 100 women, maybe 75 out of those would prefer the one with the six-pack. I don't know. It increases your chances in the dating market. And there are really attributes that you can have that increase your chances. And so it is very misleading to say that to pretend like those don't exist. They are very apparent. They are all around us. We can see, if I as a man, if I am out of shape, I literally notice the difference. I do not get as much attention. And when I am in shape, in better physical shape, I get a little bit more attention. Now that's just a subjective experience, but I challenge you to look around in your own surroundings and, find me an example of when that isn't true. Or even if you would find one example, I think on the whole, I'm correct about this. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm interested to hear. But basically, this was kind of an introduction in why I find it necessary for more people to voice their opinions on dating. Because you have these polarizing groups. I don't know how I would call them, but the pickup artists and then the relativists, as I would like to call them. And they're both kind of, not really, there is a healthy middle ground to reach here, and I would like to explore that together with you guys. So basically, that's it, I think, for the first video. I've been going on long enough. Let me know what you guys think of this format. It's basically just me talking with a microphone. Nothing flashy. I kind of just want to get my thoughts out, and I would like to assume the format of doing this in a way where I would link my videos to a question. So if you have a question, please leave it in the comments. I might pick it up for the next video. Or if not, I could also, just get into a random topic. I think I have plenty to talk about. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this first edition, and see you guys in the next one. Bye. See ya.